Hi, everybody. This is Chris.
And this is Matt.
And before I say anything else, quick reminder, this is not a review. If Syndicate, our conversation for the day, is something that's near and dear to your heart, please check out one of our other videos. Perhaps something gentler, like Auto Duel or Zorro.
Yeah, that is accurate.
Oh, my.
Yeah, and like before we start too, I wanted to send a personal message out to probably my favorite of our viewers and
Ooh,
probably the
favorites.
sexiest of our viewers, Matt. In about 6 months or a year, someone's going to post a really shitty comment on this video that says that you and Chris are idiots. If you're coming back to watch it to figure out what you said, don't go back and play it, Matt. Just forget it. Like, don't even try it.
Hold on
Future
to those
Matt.
dreams.
Yeah, don't come back.
Hold on
Just
to your dreams.
delete the comment or whatever.
Hold on to the memories. I can't sing, so that's fine. It's never stopped me before.
That musical interlude's gonna kick me right out of this.
Oh, yeah.
Rewatching this video in 6 months or a year to find out
You're
why
like,
we're
oh
assholes.
God, what are we?
Yeah, so needless
Okay.
to say, we hated the shit out of Syndicate.
Hated the shit out of Syndicate. Let's get the technicals out of the way. Bullfrog and EA in 1993, out for PC and I think Amiga and about 100 other things, because early 90s was rife for anything cyberpunk, and this had a cyberpunky looking thing, and we'll talk some about that.
Yeah. It's produced by Peter Molyneux. Molyneux. And we have played, here's the Bullfrog games that we've played. I compiled a list. Magic Carpet, Populous, Theme Park, and Dungeon Keeper.
Yes.
And this is the worst of those games by far.
So here's the thing, and I'm going to start looking something up here.
Oh boy. And again, if you love this game, like, that's great. Like, I hope that it's really fun for you. And just because we hated it, don't try not to look at it through our ancient, angry, bitter eyes, because we really didn't like it.
And we're going to break this down on the technicals. This isn't something where we didn't like the premise or the colors were wrong or something like that. And I think we've got enough in the video. I've tried one of the missions several ways to kind of show you different problems and stuff we ran into. Yeah. There are some things you just don't go back to, and this was one of them. And it was really disappointing for me. Not as disappointing as some other games, because I remember not being super thrilled with it back in the day, but I didn't remember a lot of this. What I wanted to talk about before we start, because you're mentioning all the Bullfrog games we played.
Yeah.
Also, if you're new to this and this is your first video watching us, one, please go watch one of our other videos. Two, maybe watch this one and then go watch the other one. Compare and contrast. Review our videos. That would be awesome. Some sub-channel reviewing us not reviewing things. That'd just be very meta. Anyway. We go off topic from the main thing sometimes if the conversation takes us there. And the conversation is going to take us there right away. Because we're talking about Bullfrog. And we're talking about Bullfrog games. And this is right around the time EA had bought them and started doing things with them. And a lot of people blame EA for what happened to Bullfrog.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of people blame EA for a lot of things. And,
right.
And they're often right.
They're often right. In this particular case, I don't know who to be mad at. Because now, having played this game again, and going back and looking again, there are sort of two ways to approach a lot of game design and stuff like that. And one is, how do I make the player feel cool? And the other is, how do I have a cool concept that I hope the player likes?
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with the cool concept thing is the concept does not always have a game under it.
Yeah.
And Bullfrog is a concept company. As a concept, I'm going to play... I wanted to say all that before I play the intro, because I dig the shit out of the intro.
Right. Bullfrog took really brave choices. Like, if you go through that list of games that we've played, like, those were Populous. Like, that's a bold and unique way to approach a game, and the premise is not like every other thing.
So here's what's funny about Populous, and a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Populous exists because he was trying to build a game and realized the tools he was making the game with were more fun than the game. If your work is more fun than your play, maybe take a step back and consider what's happening.
Totally. Yeah.
Anyway, look at this. Like, you got some corporate guy watching some guy run some guy down in a hover car. And they're going to pick him up and kidnap him right off the street. And those other three guys don't care. It's you know.
Yeah, it's great. And like, when I read about it, it's like classic cyberpunk stuff. It's a dystopian future that's kind of like a corporatocracy where everything is run by these huge corporations, and they kind of do what they want, and they shit all over the police forces, and like and they have like cyber warriors, as you can see here. Sounds cool.
Yeah, I want to change. I am going to coin a phrase today, right now, this second.
History being made, everyone.
History being made. Because you look at this and you look at Blade Runner and you look at some stuff like that, and they're lumped under cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
When there's nothing cyber about them. I'm going to call these from now on corpopunk.
Yeah.
Because it's about a corporate dystopia. That has nothing to do with cyber or computers. That's a corporate dystopian future. It's a different thing from Neuromancer, say, where you're going into the net, and it's about the difference between your humanity as a consciousness or an electronic consciousness. Mm-hmm. And that's a different story, and one that needs to be told. But we've gotten into trench coats and shotguns and fighting the man. And that's a different thing.
Right.
And it bothers me. Anyway.
No, that's
lighter.
Totally right. Yeah. I expect this to be a catharsis for both of us.
Yeah.
Because I have been stewing. Like, usually our notes...
Oh my God.
Our notes on a game are like, nice interface. I like the colors. But this month, I wrote like margin to margin, tiny little serial killer.
I was gonna say I was planning on you to like buy a cabin in the woods and a manual typewriter and just start going to town.
It was their last episode, and then Matt just vanished.
Matt just went nuts.
Every 6 months, a notebook is mailed in, and it's just margin to margin notes about Syndicate.
I kept like saying stuff like, "Oh, I really don't want to go back and play this game, but I need to get some more time in," and just start complaining about it. And Nina'd go, "I thought Matt hated the game more than you do." I'm like, "Oh, he does."
That is absolutely the case. Every time I tried to give this game another chance, it found a new way to disappoint me or kick me in the balls. And I just, eventually I was just like, I can't play this anymore, because it's just like, what else am I going to find out? Yeah. You know, is it going to like kill my dog or something if I try this again? It's just a terrible game. But let's talk about...
I was going to say, so now that everyone has the temperature of the pool and knows our feelings, you can either stop or hear why. Here comes the why. Let's just go right through our list here. Graphics. You didn't mind the graphics.
No, they're gritty. They're kind of cyberpunk. I mean, it's not much to look at, really. The levels aren't that good looking, but whatever. Like, they had an aesthetic, and they leaned into it, and they delivered on the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Whether or not you like the aesthetic, meh, you know.
Yeah. The aesthetic notwithstanding. I have huge issues with the graphics, though, because often I'd lose my guys behind a building.
See, I hate that too, but I counted that as an interface problem, not a graphics problem.
Fair, but it's a graphical choice to put things in such a way. I mean, it's both. You could chalk it up to either.
What drove me crazy in that regard is that you have these missions where there are enemy agents and there's your agents, and they all look the same. It's so annoying because when you have a big crowd of people, you want to be able to pick out who's
This was going to be my next question with the graphics. Like I'm sure you're chalking that up to an interface thing again, though.
Yeah.
That to you, that's an interface. To me, it's a graphic thing because it's a graphical choice.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the graphical part of the interface that's not working because sound could not work, controls could not work. There's lots of different things in the interface that could
Totally.
Yeah, it really struck me. Like one of the things I was trying to figure out how to phrase is, I might as well start it here. You're so pulled back from the action.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're playing Lemmings with trench coats.
Right.
And the only difference between your Lemmings and the other guy's Lemmings are the colors of their beanies, which are like 2 pixels.
Mm-hmm. And the numbers above their heads.
But you'll see in some of my things, if you've got a mess going on, you don't know where you're going. Your guys don't always fire exactly where the cursor is. So it's like trying to have this RPG element, but they don't level up. It's trying to have an action element, but it's not accurate and it's not close enough to the action to do that. Mm-hmm. They're trying to have a strategy element, but again, with the Lemmings reference, those guys just charge right at you. There's really not a lot of strategy involved in Syndicate. More than zero.
More than zero.
But not more than 5?
Right, and this is the framework that I'm coming at this game from that kind of like encapsulates my whole problem with it. What the fuck is it? Because if I said, okay, I'm going to give you a team of 4 agents that you can outfit accordingly and send into a combat situation, you would think this is probably a strategy game, a squad-based strategy game, because I'm going to be managing 4 different people or whatever, robot people, and I'm going to be accomplishing goals on maps.
Mm-hmm. Like, in here I got to kill a guy in a house, so I can see he's on the house in radar.
Yep.
And in order to kill him, I'm going to go into the house, and now I got to shoot into the dark because they won't shoot on their own. And 2 of my guys, because of the bad pathfinding, are stuck on the wall. Yep. I don't know how to help you. Like, that is not a subjectively bad decision. That is an objectively, factually bad gameplay situation. And this is level 1.
Right.
This isn't down the road. This isn't... And before anyone's like, you didn't play far enough, I've beaten the game. I've played this game all the way through.
I got to a point where I was continually frustrated with it, and then I was like, but I want to see like when the payoff comes, when this turns fun. But the problems that it has are so systemic that I had this realization, like, even if you gave me the coolest weapons in the world and like the best cyber upgrades and all that shit, I would still hate this because it's stupid. Like, it's fundamentally a bad game that I will never like.
And that was the thing when I came down to, and I was like, okay, so you hate this game. One of the rules you give yourself when you hate a game is, how would you fix it? Like, what would you do? And I'm like, okay, well, I'd start doing this. I'm like, okay, well, then you're ruining this part of the game. Like, I would make it an XCOM style tactical, shooter. I could see a Syndicate vibed XCOM game being awesome. But now you've ruined the action. You've ruined the quick pace part of it. It's not Syndicate anymore. Okay, well, I'd make it an action game, lure it down to 1 person, and third person go in and have it like... Then there's no tactics. There's no spreading your guys apart. Well, you don't really do that much anyway. Yeah, you don't, but you can, and that's part of it is being a team. If it's not a team, what are you doing? Okay, well, RTS style. I'm like, okay, well, you're not resource gathering or anything. You'd be able to do so. You'd fix the AI, I guess. But you would still have problems like I'm going to have on one of these maps where the maps are so big, you might just be walking around.
Yeah.
And none of your characters and none of the characters in the game and none of them have any personality.
Right.
And there's a certain corporate dystopian thing that's cool that they don't have a personality. That's kind of what you wanted them to feel like is disposable dudes. But they don't feel disposable because you've pumped a ton of money into them to buy their upgrades. So you don't want to lose the money. The money doesn't, I mean, they feel disposable, but the money doesn't feel disposable. So therefore, they're not disposable because they're your property. And you don't
also,
want to lose property.
The way that you get new agents is fucking ridiculous and stupid. I hated that. I made a run. You have the Persuadatron.
Yep.
And then there's this very complicated. It's not like takes up a whole chalkboard to figure it out, but it's complicated enough that you can't keep it all in your head while you're playing. You have to get regular people, and they're worth a certain number of points, and then you get cops, which are worth a little more points.
Basically, the gist is you have to build up a mob to improve the power of your Persuadatron so that you can take more resistant people. And if you do it by sitting there trying to count how many civilians you have before you can get a cop, it's going to annoy you. Just build a mob until you see one guy pop who shouldn't have, and build a bigger mob.
But the thing is, when it comes time to get an agent, you need to be 100% sure you're going to be able to persuade an enemy agent.
I always am. You know why?
Because you have a huge mob.
I have a mob like this big on the radar.
But they get killed while you're trying to get close enough to the agent to persuade them. It's annoying as a mechanic.
There should be a better way. But the thing is, who cares? Because you're going to save every level. And if you're doing this right, you're not really going to lose anybody on a level. Mm-hmm. Because you just reload and try it again knowing what you did this time. The enemy agent part is completely superfluous unless you're playing it like Iron Man mode. Mm-hmm. In which case, what's going to happen is you're going to get to levels where replacing one of your agents has either become cost prohibitive because you haven't made enough money. Mm-hmm. Asterisk on that for a second. Right. Or you're putting somebody in who doesn't have the equipment to deal with the harder levels you're at. And that's a problem. Now, I say you don't have the money, but let's talk about gaining money in this game, because this is another thing that is just
the dumbest economy ever.
If you got paid off for missions, brilliant. Do that. That makes sense. And then you can pick I need this much money and I want to take this much risk. And, maybe there's things you can do that would lower the cost but make the mission easier. That would have been a fun dynamic. Mm-hmm. You do missions because you're just checking off pieces on a map. The money goes up from taxes you get for those places for owning them. Mm-hmm. Which, fine. Makes sense. But it goes up even when you're not... It goes up in real time. Yeah. So if you turn this on and walk away for an hour and do absolutely nothing, you make money. And your research keeps researching and everything else keeps happening.
And the thing is, you might feel clever when you figure that out, but it's inevitable because you're going to hit a time where if you're playing through this that you need to wait to earn more money. Mm-hmm. And so you just wait. And then it totally follows that, of course, if I wait longer, I'll just have a shit ton of money. And it's a totally broken mechanic.
It's one of those where it's the concept of corporate overlords ruling over and taking money out of the places they overlord over. And as a concept, solid. Gameplay, not solid. And that's going back to the beginning. They had a good concept. They didn't turn it into good gameplay. It's more about, hey, look at me and how brilliant I am, than here, let's let you feel brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am shooting guys with a flamethrower and should be having the time of my life, but I'm so pulled back from the action that it's not fun.
Right.
And by the way, that mission, I did what I was told to do, which was stay in one place, let them fight each other, and try and hold your ground, and got murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't fight each other. Some of them come running right at you.
Right. Yeah, so we've covered that it's a terrible strategy game because there's not enough strategy. The interface is so bad that you can't really play it as an action game either. You're
right.
Like you said, you're so far back. The AI is abysmally bad. It's so bad. And they like tried to be clever and like, okay, we're going to build these multi-layered maps. And that's so smart. Like, we're so smart. There's an upper part and a lower part. It's amazing. Except that the enemy agents don't know if you're on the upper part or the lower part. So they will just sit directly under you and blast each other with shotguns and then blast the corpses because they haven't figured out that they're dead. Like, that is terrible.
And
that's
if you
not
click
fun.
on the map, like, I want to go on this upper terrace because it's click and your guys walk there. If they're on the first level, they will walk under the terrace. If they're on the second level, they'll walk to the terrace. And because there's a lot of play, when you click a button, it like says, okay, get them in this circle. Sometimes some of them will be like, oh, so I should be on the terrace, and other ones will be like, no, I'm going to be on the ground, and your party gets split apart. And you're like fighting with the ramp up and down to get them to move.
It would be better. So you can switch guys with 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can go into move the whole party mode, but you can't break them into squads. You can't really do anything else.
A lot of tactical options just aren't there.
Right. Your options for managing them as a squad is very limited. And so what they tried to do is they have this system called and this drove me nuts. It's IPA in the manual: intelligence, perception, adrenaline. But when you do it on the screen, it's adrenaline,
intelligence,
perception, which whatever, like, that's just stupid. But the problem is that those are not static. So I can't just put someone somewhere to like cover a corner, crank up their perception and intelligence and maybe a little adrenaline, so they behave in this like certain way, because it degrades.
Yeah, no, it's a drug boost. It's meant to give you a short boost. It makes your guys do better for a while, and then makes the next hit less effective unless you balance by like putting them on withdrawal, and then it lowers it down so it becomes more effective. I know when I played the first time, there were some missions where I knew I wasn't going to get attacked right away. So I like lowered everything until it was like all the way bottomed. And then when I got to shit, I just went brrr, and just
that's the only strategy. You're not like fine tuning their behaviors. You're either jacking them all the way up or jacking them all the way off, Chris.
Oh my.
You got to jack them off right in the beginning. And then you just like leave them there so their levels get low. And then when the herd of agents runs at you all at once, then you crank it up and hope for the best.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if the gameplay was slow enough that it's like, okay, here, because they're coming with combined arms. Your guys, you can put them in panic mode where they'll fire, but there's no strategy behind that. They just fire in a panic at things, and it's not as good as if you controlled them. But it means I can't put some guy like up in a tower with a long range gun and have him just take shots, and maybe it wouldn't be as good, but at least he'd do something, while I take another guy to lure people around and be my stealth guy. And I take this, they're like, have a guy as backup, but the backup guy is like sole job is to come in after the first guy dies and avenge him. And
your early game strategy is just to take one guy. All the way through middle game, really. You want to have an absolute minimum number, and it shouldn't be like that because it's a squad-based game.
yeah, I always just took a squad. I didn't care.
Yeah, but then you just have this mobile squad, and
You still treat it like a one guy.
So the one time, right? That's basically what you end up doing. The one time I thought like, oh, I think I get why this game is fun, because it was when I learned that I can hold down the button on the Uzi and just keep shooting. I was doing individual shots.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Matt, it's an action game, you idiot, but you run out of ammo so fast when you play it like kind of like Robotron, where you're just like,
you can't Robotron it. There is ammo,
and you can't reload.
Right. You
have to buy 8 Uzis.
Right. Not clips.
Which is kind of awesome.
Magazines, but yeah.
Because who doesn't want to walk around with 8 Uzis? But it's really, really annoying. And if you're in this mode where they're all selected, it's kind of a crapshoot what weapons people pull out if they don't all have the same loadout. It's just like so not fun. Oh, and here you go with another.
And see how I'm like, I kind of got my guys stuck behind the building because I'm trying to get around to the front again, and they're just.
Yeah, if you look away from these guys, they're going to be all and like set a waypoint. They're going to be all over the place. You just like will not know.
Weapons, and you can like loot stuff on the ground too to sell at the end. But here's one of the other things. So we talked about like you bring your Uzi, right? And
your
you
6
use
Uzis.
it up, or 6 Uzis or however many you bring, and you burn through them. At the end, you have to pay to reload them between missions, which I don't even mind the money. But I got to go to each guy in each gun and hit reload. And that's just bad interface.
Right. Let me bring ammo, please.
Right? Or in this game, if you really want to up the action, who cares about the ammo?
Right.
Absolutely who cares? No one's going to be like, this game's unbelievable because my Uzi doesn't run out of bullets. No one's going to think that when playing Syndicate.
Right.
It would make the game so much more fun. Maybe some weapons like the flamethrower, like, okay, that needs a limit.
Yeah. I mean, the flamethrower lasts quite a bit longer compared to the Uzi, which I liked, but any satisfaction you get from using it is just kind of robbed away from you, because when wave after wave of dude is coming at you, they just kind of stand there sometimes. And sometimes they shoot you, and sometimes they stand there. And it's just like very, very unrewarding, even when you're blasting people with the flamethrower.
I think it was in this recording. The AI got glitched where I had 2 squads of enemies sort of standing just on top of each other, just standing there. And then I shot one, and they all woke up and were like, oh, wait, we're supposed to be killing each other.
Right. And when they all look the same and they just stand there, it's really easy to like just kind of miss them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean...
Yeah. It's not good.
Like, this is your range, by the way. So, yeah, some weapons don't make it all the way to the edge of the screen, but, like...
Yeah.
Long-range guns and stuff, like, I wish you could pull back or zoom in or something.
Let's talk about this interface. So in the bottom left, you have this high-level kind of sensor view of the map that you can't move.
Right.
Which is so stupid.
Right.
Like, I would love to be able to set my waypoints and move this map around.
Waypoints would have been huge.
Instead, you have to move around the big map and then just kind of like hope that you're doing it right based on the scanner, because the scanner doesn't really move. And it makes it really hard to form any kind of strategy. And then at the end of the level, sometimes you have to get to a waypoint, and it's annoying because it'll be blinking off the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So like one of the times I got pissed off was really early in the game. It was the first Persuadatron mission,
Yeah.
and I had this huge clump of people that I had persuaded, and I beat the level and it started blinking. So I like started walking towards it, but I went through some sewers and that just killed me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, that's fine. So then I reloaded, did it again, got to the end, and it didn't exit. So I was like, oh, maybe there's another way to go. No, you just have, if you persuade a ton of people, you have to get them all to the exit. And you end up just like praying that they die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, please. And like, it does you no good to have.
And because if you get too many, the AI is so wonky, not all of them get there.
Right. You have to like herd them like you're a border collie. You have to herd them toward the exit by going back, getting the stragglers, hoping you don't create new stragglers.
Yeah.
And then you're finished and you don't get anything for doing that. It's just like, here, this is annoying now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is going to be annoying for the rest of the level, and you get nothing from it. Great.
Do you
Thanks,
really
Syndicate.
need all of them, or do you just need the one guy? Like, I thought you just needed the one guy, and
that might be true.
Yeah, so that somebody doesn't be like, that's not how it works. Like, I think you just need the guy you were sent to recruit, but if he's lost in the mix, you don't. Once you've recruited him, looks like everybody else.
Right.
You don't know who you're going to get, and there's no way to release these guys. I even tried murdering them myself. Like, no, they're on your team now. The bullets go through them. Like,
yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I'm just looking for other games that came out in 1993, like Doom. I mean, okay, this isn't going to be Doom, but X-Wing came out, and I know that has like waypoints and things to head towards.
Yeah, we had waypoint technology in 1993.
Yeah.
You know what else? You know what other technology we had? Fucking driving the fucking car technology. I hate the cars in this game. They were so terrible. You just like get in and just hope that it turns the way you want.
The cars suffer from the same pathfinding that everything else does. You click on the ground, and even just walking around, I click on the ground and hope they go where I told them to, and sometimes they do, and sometimes they get stuck in a building.
Do you know what the manual says about controlling the car?
What does the manual say about controlling the car?
This is a quote from the manual. Cursor clicks in the direction of movement control the vehicle.
Right.
Cursor,
not where you want to go. But if you click to the left of the vehicle, it will turn left. Even if, like, you're trying to click to something that, like, actually is down further and to the right, like, it'll just turn at the next intersection.
Can we just take a moment to, like, appreciate how poorly constructed that sentence is and how little it tells you? Like, it's like, oh, you can do it. You just cursor click. Well, okay. In the direction of movement, in the direction I want it to move, in the direction it's moving, like that's basically saying, oh yeah, you can do it. You just click. Terrible. The manual generally sucked, by the way.
Tell me how you really feel.
You want to know another thing that drove me crazy about this game?
Please.
Wanting to like look at options and hitting escape, and then realizing, oh yeah,
that just canceled the mission
unceremoniously. It's
no request.
You're done. You're done, idiot.
There's no. And for those of us who've sat through 35 minutes of this so far, that's it in a nutshell. There's no consideration of the user or the player in any of the decisions.
Right.
Whether it's, clicking something. Oh, I got to pause on this. Hang on. We got to talk about this in a second. Whether it's about just asking if we want to escape before we escape. Mm-hmm. Having the clicks on the ground mean something. Having, what would make this game feel good? It's like,
do you know how utterly game-changing and powerful it would be if a little blink popped up on the map when I clicked and told them where they were going, or a little trail that showed me where they were going to go? Oh my God, my kingdom, for a little blip on the fucking map.
Like, I understand a trail is a lot of pathfinding. I don't know that we had a star back then. So I will give them some slack on the pathfinding. I will give them some slack on not drawing me a line where they're going, because that gets messy. But like you said, a sparkle on the map that I clicked there. That technology existed. Tell me where I just sent my dude, so that I can know if he's heading in the right way or not. Or let me, like when I've lost the map, like if I'm like, I want you to go way up here, and I click so they start walking, and I come back and I try to find them, and they might be behind buildings. They might be like, they're gone. They're just gone, especially in a car that's moving fast. If that car gets off the screen from you, you're done. You will be looking for that car forever.
You can right click on their portrait and it'll center on them.
Does it? It didn't for me.
It does, yeah. But again, with the car,
maybe that's left clicking.
Yeah. You were cursor clicking.
It's cursor clicking.
You don't get to know which one.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, and like if I'm moving 4 people to one spot, why do they take different paths there, Chris? Why do some of them go through a building? Why do some of them go through, South America? It's just ridiculous. Just walk there. Stay together. Come on, guys.
So here was one of the other issues I had with the graphics. You see this map?
Yes.
Each of these sections is a different level. And I am normally not one for we should have less game in our game. The graphics are not varied enough to justify this many levels. By the time you're done, you're done. You're sick of it. You've seen it so many times. If you had a West Europe, East Europe, West Asia, East Asia, maybe, this pink should all be one mission. These 3 here should be, Europe should be 2 things. Africa should be 3 things. Australia could be 1, maybe 2. I'd give you 2 on Australia. South America, 2, maybe 3. North America, Mexico, US, Canada. Like, that number of missions with a little more time and thought put into them, and making them more interesting, and worrying about the user experience for it, maybe you and I wouldn't be hating on this game so much. I don't feel like any level was designed with the gameplay in mind as much as just, I think this would be cool. I think it would be cool if they have to get on a train, write it down. They have to get on a train on this side, write it down, and get off the train on that side, so that they can get to the other half of the city.
And it's not like you're not playing Risk here. I mean, it's not like holding territory does anything for you besides increase your tax revenue.
Which, at this point, I've done almost everything. Right,
because you can just wait anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, though, if you wait too long, it crashed on my system. So you have to like balance it.
And I think they do take a thing back if you let them, but it'll flash so you can go in and try and stop that from happening.
I had that happen, but if you go back, it's just the same mission.
Yeah.
That you already did.
So you're
not
even
like
running a resistance mission now. You're just replaying a mission you already played. That's
right, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
And so also the research is pretty random. Like if you go back to that, like your first research options, one of them is like miscellaneous.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're going to get if you do it.
Yeah. Assault.
Yeah.
Automatic.
Like tell me what I'm going to get. I think later it starts to tell you.
I don't think it did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
it just as slowly adds to your things until you've unlocked all the stuff.
And another interface thing that drove me nuts. Or go ahead.
I was going to say, here would have been a perfect chance to make the game more interesting. Get rid of research. Or maybe have some research, but mostly just get rid of research. Instead, have your guys do infiltration missions to steal research. Way more interesting. Like when you go to some of these, you're like, we're recruiting a scientist. Okay, let's recruit a scientist. Let's have mission choices that matter more than just filling in the map. Like, okay,
Right.
you've got 2 mission options right now. You can go and recruit a scientist, or you can try and take out enemies. If you recruit the scientist, you might get better weapons for the following mission, but that area is going to be harder. Or you can take all those guys out, but then they'll have less people, but they'll have better weapons. Now you've got sort of an interesting game dynamic going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand this is 93. Like, we're being a little hard on it for being 93, but not a lot.
No, I don't think we're being hard on it.
A lot of people are like, why did Syndicate never become a franchise? Because there's nothing to build on. It's a cool concept. It's a cool aesthetic, but it's not a game you can turn into a franchise.
Right.
Like, what would you focus on? And this, I'm asking the audience. Like, if you're like, but it would, okay, design it.
There's a world where this is a fun action game, because it would be fun if I could switch easily between my guys and like execute some kind of maneuvers. Like, it's possible that there is a good action game in here, but it's definitely not in here.
There's
like
a world where this is a good strategy game, but this isn't it.
Right.
I would love to see this. Okay. Here's how I'm given an unlimited money and the license to Syndicate. I would make a network multiplayer Diablo style action game.
I think that would be fun. If you gave me unlimited money and the license to Syndicate, I would put it in a rocket ship and fire it into the sun. Not even our sun, a much bigger sun.
Oh.
Yeah. Here's a story. So you talked about the
Lovely
level.
lady.
Yep. We're getting full. We need like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah. We need to lighten the mood for just a second here. We're just literally just ripping off its head and shitting down its throat. All right. Go. Here's a story.
Here's a story about the level with the rail. So it's like the city. It's divided into 2 sections, and you have to go on the upper section to get to where you're going, pretty much. And so I went up I got all my guys, biggest accomplishment, up on the catwalk. All the agents ran underneath and shot each other. And I was like, yeah, I know you're doing right said Fred, aren't you?
Yeah, I sure am.
They all shot each other, and I was like, okay, like, this is not fun for me, but it solves the problem, whatever. So then I let them do that, and then I went down the ramp. I persuaded the person I needed to persuade, and I got up on the ramp to get on the monorail, and I hopped on the monorail, but the guy didn't make it on. So I'm like, oh, shit. What bullshit will happen now? So I'm shooting down the old monorail track. I get off at the next station, manage to get off the vehicle, no problem. I get back on to go get him, and he's standing on the fucking monorail track. Oh, you idiot! And then he dies, and then I'm done. And
I was about
like,
to ask, as like, have you ever had like the guy not get in the car and then just?
And like, I didn't do anything wrong. He just like missed the monorail. They wouldn't hold it for him. Like, and then his pathfinding was such that he was willing to just stand on because he like wants to be with you.
Yeah.
Because you persuaded him. They're like little bees. After you persuade them, they just buzz around you. It's really annoying.
Yeah, it's not like you actually get to control them, which would be handy, because then you could like tell the civilians like, just stand here. I'm looking for cops. Something. But they just sort of follow you around like Anyway,
Yeah.
this was the car level I wanted to show. But you said something at the beginning that I forgot it. Damn it.
I was bitching about the bi-level thing.
Yeah, but there's something I wanted to show on here. It's like, oh, this is going to be... So, like, I'm
Okay,
just driving through Persuadotroning.
can you pause this though for a second?
Yeah, there's something I was going to say about this. Go on.
If you go back a few seconds, you'll see where you pull out of that station,
Yeah.
right? And if you go forward a few seconds, there's an intersection, okay? And if you're gonna cursor click in the direct, or what is it? Cursor click in the direction of movement to control vehicle, like it's you can't always see, you can't see where the road is.
Well, okay, so here's my thing. Okay, so I'm clicking down here. Do you see the mouse going around?
Yeah.
The car's not here. Let's go back. Let's try and figure out what happened. Shall we?
Yep.
Okay, here comes the car.
Here's Chris. Everyone's in the car, so that's...
See if you can figure out where the car went. So we're coming here. We're going down here. I'm
here's
clicking.
the unclickable left turn.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
If you're looking on the map, the car turned left. And you're asking yourself right now, no, there's the intersection. It couldn't have turned left. There is a road behind this building.
Yes,
You
exactly.
can't see it.
Exactly.
So now I have no idea where the car is. I can see it on the map, but I'm also completely... And I'm clicking stuff and it's like, oh, I need to turn around. But
It's
don't
terrible.
know where. So I'm clicking around now, just trying to get the car to go anywhere. I am, however, building up a large group of people just because I've got the Persuadertron on in the car.
Drive by Persuadertron?
Yeah, which is hilarious. So I'm up to cops already. Yeah, I'm going to go grab a couple more. Boop. So now the cops will be shooting the other guys too, which is nice.
Yeah, the cops are so spongy, though.
Oh, they're so spongy. And here I think I get my first, yep, just recruited an enemy. I still have no idea where the car is. This is all happening without me.
Right. Right. The cars are really bad. And there's levels where you have to drive the car out.
Yeah.
And, like, God help you.
And the car can blow up with
somebody...
everybody in it, causing them all to catch on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be closer to the action for it to be action. I want it to have some more strategy for it to be strategic. Because what I would normally do in this is I'd kind of lure them down and stand along the side of a building and wait till they come around in a conga line of death and just light them up with flamethrowers. Oh, I remember what you said. That solved the problem. And so I went on, even though I didn't have fun doing it. There is never a genuine problem to solve in this game. Starting about level 4, it's like, oh, the maps and things have to think for a second. But it's still going to come down to, how do I stand in a way that makes them single file into my guns?
Exactly. The strategic choices you're making are, can I get out in the open so I can see what the hell I'm shooting?
Where, like, when I play XCOM, it's, do I want to rush this and go as fast as I can? Or do I want a long-range sniper? Or do I... choices like that are being made. And those are interesting choices. Or do I split my team so that I got maybe somebody here taking the shots while the other people burst through the back of the barn and take them out?
Mm-hmm.
And even if this was still sort of early in that whole stage, it wasn't that early, and maybe letting it cook for a little longer would have been an idea. And I'd say, okay, well, this is just one game. This is just a fluke. You're being a little hard on it. Not every game's perfect. This is chronic with Bullfrog.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good concept, but I don't have a good game.
It's creative and it's risky, and I really love that because I
needed it in the early 90s.
I don't think Magic Carpet would have gotten made, like, if it weren't for Bullfrog.
No.
And like, it's not the greatest game ever made, but it, like, did something.
Yes.
It was...
So, and that's where kind of coming full circle back around, I want to say. Like, they tried things. They did things. It sounds like when I say they didn't worry about the player, thus it's not a good game. That doesn't mean it wasn't valuable. It doesn't mean it wasn't important, and it doesn't mean it didn't help other games get better.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to play it.
Totally. Yeah.
If you do, God bless you. But I can't. I can't. Like, okay, here I'm going to try. This is. Now, I've done this mission in the past, obviously, but here I'm going to try and get my guys up this thing. I need number 1, because he has the Persuadertron, to come around to be on the upper level. And he's going to walk back downstairs. Even though I'm clicking on the catwalk. That time I didn't, because I'm like, oh, maybe I got to go lower. No, okay, let's try. What if I get him? If I click over here? Like, no, one thinks I now mean under it, even though I'm clicking on it. And I just...
Right.
And you have to get upstairs to get to the guy on the far end, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yet the puzzle of the game should not be how to get your guy to walk up a ramp.
Right. Right. And the other problem with kind of the mob mentality that they take to combat, after you're done and you want to loot stuff, it's so annoying to loot because you have to click on it to find out what it is. And there's literally weapons everywhere. And you just like desperately like, please let me pick up a shot. Let me drop my shotgun, which by the way, then contributes to the problem
mess.
of a million things on the ground. And then let me just find like a shotgun.
Yeah. And sometimes those shotguns are empty because they've been shooting them at you. And I should want to play. I should want to loot. But I found myself at the end just like, I don't care.
You can just wait.
I don't.
Just wait.
You don't
need $200 for a shotgun. You can just wait 5 minutes.
I just don't find myself caring about the loot. So, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like the clever things about this could have been the IPA system. Like I think there's like a nugget of something interesting there, where you're governing their behavior with
through drugs.
Sliders.
Yeah. I like the premise. And again, good premise. It's the triangle interface on Stronghold. It's a solid premise, but the interface for it is just horrendous. And it shows a lack of interest in the user experience. We're going to build a good premise. We're not going to build a good game.
And it's a little too complicated to read, because you have the bar that moves up and down, and that represents their like resistance. And then you have the filled in colored bar, and that represents the current activity. And then you have the like grayish, darker version of that colored bar, and that like represents the actual level of drugs. It's just, it's a lot, and it's not static. So as a tool for me as a user to like, you know, I want a guy who thinks and is accurate and is cool under pressure and like is gonna, you know, slowly move through this level. Like I should be able to do that.
Yeah, right. I want a guy who's the heavy, who goes in with the submachine, who goes in with a minigun, and another one who's my sniper, and he's just darting his way up to things to shoot. If I was EA, this is my thought. If I was EA back in 1992, where I had their ear, instead of buying Bullfrog, I would make a deal with them. You guys keep being you. We're going to give you some money. But in exchange for that money, we can use any of the things you develop to make real games. Don't take them in. Don't take on their burdens. Don't take on their risk. Let them succeed and fail by being crazy idiots on their own. And maybe you'll get another Populous. Maybe you'll get a Syndicate. But Syndicate, like we said, there's ideas in here worth exploring and polishing and turning into something. But you can't do it with the Syndicate logo, because anybody who liked that one thing, whether they liked the strategy or the action or the aesthetic, you change the wrong thing, you lose that share of the user base. But you can't leave it alone, and it's too fractured to have a cohesive user base. It's a dead system because it wasn't put together with thought.
Yep.
Pinnacle and Pit.
Okay. The pinnacle, the pinnacle for me was that probably 45 seconds where I convinced myself that this was an action game, and I went in fully loaded with Uzis, and all the guys ran at me, and I started blasting, and then the cops ran at me because I was blasting, and I started blasting the cops.
Yeah.
And that was good. Like, I was like, I finally get this game. Like, this is what it is. I'm overthinking it because I'm prone to overthinking things. I'm just like, I need to just have fun. And like, next I'm going to do this exact same thing, but with flamethrowers. And that was like, that felt really good.
I want to talk about that for a second, because that's something we didn't bring up. The cops won't bother you until you pull your guns out.
Right.
There's little stuff like that that's like, that's a cool concept. It's not a game. You can't make a game around that. But it did show an interest in the world, an interest in the story, an interest in the ideas. I'm not taking that away from this. I'm not saying it didn't do that really well. It just didn't make a good game. Didn't make something I want to play. All right, continue. Yeah, sorry.
And I think probably the Pit was probably when that guy got run over by the monorail, because I was like, I had gotten through the level and no dumb bullshit happened, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna get through late middle game with this. And like, maybe there's a corner that's being turned, even though I kind of did it on the back of the stupid AI. But then it was just like, that was it for me. It's like, I'm not going to do this. And it wasn't like, it had been a series of dumb shit up until then. Some of it my fault, most of it's the game's fault. And that was just like the last thing. I was just like, fuck this. I'm done with this. And then I played it a few more times.
Right.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah. I just saw in my notes one more thing that could have made this work. Pause to issue commands.
I was just going to say that. If you could pause and select your targets and then set your IPA, API, PIA levels, that could
leave most of this game intact and make it a strategy game. And I could work with that.
I tried to do that to salvage this, and it just...
pausing to issue commands, because then you could put people in different positions, and then when stuff happens, you're like, okay, pause. You in the bell tower, shoot that guy. You with the heavy, take that guy coming around the corner. You with the flamethrower, just take out that crowd. You know?
Yep.
Go, let's watch it all happen. Look at the carnage. Like, that would be so much fun. That
would have helped. That would have helped so much. And then when your people are wandering all over God's green earth, you can pause it and like, because you can right click. I was able to right click and center on the people, but still, because you can't zoom out and you can't move the scanner, it's hard to get a picture of where they all are in relation to each other when they've all wandered around. So if you could pause it, you could like scroll that big fucking window around and like find where they are and like set a rally point and have them get back together and fix their lives.
Right. Rally points would have been huge. Yeah.
But not really an option.
No. Okay. So that I just saw that in my like side notes here. It's like, oh, that reminds me. My pinnacle was when I had the entire city just mobbed. I'm like, this is hilarious. It's not fun, but it's hilarious.
It's interesting.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm just going to do this for every mission. You can't. I mean, there are some where they just come at you too fast. But The premise is sound, and I liked it. The pit was that thing meant I didn't know which one was my target anymore. I couldn't get him out. I couldn't save the mission. And the mission literally ran out of time with me trying to figure out which of these 50 guys was supposed to get in the car with me.
Right.
And I don't know if that's my fault or the game's fault or whose fault, but I feel
it's
like
absolutely the game's fault.
I feel like once you've persuaded the guy and there's no enemies left, the point... They have waypoints. They tell you where to go on these things.
Yeah, they have the radar blips.
They have the radar blips. If they let you set a radar blip.
Mm-hmm. That would have been a huge help. I mean, I would love to have multiple waypoints so I don't have to rely on the terrible AI pathfinding.
Mm-hmm.
Like walk here, then here, then here, then shoot this person, then do this, and we're done.
When was Mechwarrior 2 out?
That's a great question. Because that had some waypoints.
Mm-hmm.
To Google.
95,
2.
so a couple years later.
Yeah.
But did Mechwarrior 1 have it?
Boy, I don't know. I don't know if I played Mechwarrior 1 a lot.
It's different.
I played a lot of Mechwarrior 2. But yeah.
1989 for that one.
All right.
Yeah, that one we don't go back to too often because it was just sort of shoot the legs out.
Yeah.
It's okay. But, so yeah, I mean, that's our story. That's our tale of woe.
Yeah, I hated this fucking thing.
All right.
It was like this slow realization too. Like the first time I played it, I was like, ooh, I didn't like that. And then I played it again, and there was never like a time when I was like, oh, okay. It was just like one thing after another.
I'm trying to remember what game we played, and you're like, oh, see, we started playing this, and I thought it was Syndicate, and I loved that game.
It was Crusader No Remorse.
Right.
So I think what happened is my brain did this kind of like mashup portmanteau of Syndicate and maybe like Crusader and maybe what was the one where you're in like the tropical place and you're really far away and your guys are really little?
Jagged Alliance?
Jagged Alliance. I don't think this game exists, actually.
No, I would love the game you're talking about, but it doesn't exist.
Yep, which is a sad story.
Yes. So, if you're out there, we need a Jagged Alliance Crusader Syndicate Corpopunk game.
Right.
Make that and make Matt happy.
light on the Syndicate.
Light on the Syndicate, maybe just from the vibe, but a little more... I think more Jagged Alliance with a Syndicate vibe and some of the graphical fire deaths of Crusader, you're onto something.
Can I say one more thing?
Crusader had weird weapons.
Right.
With spider bombs and trip things and some stuff like that. And that was kind of cool. This, I never felt like any of the weapons. Like, there's time bomb. Like, when are you using that? It's too fast.
Right.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know.
The ranged, like, I mainly cared about range.
Mm-hmm. I mainly cared about speed of death, and thus I focused heavy on flamethrower strategy.
Well, yeah. I mean, for the money, it's really satisfying.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one more thing about the menu interface.
Okay.
This workflow.
Yeah.
This workflow of start mission, go to the map, go to the objectives, go to the research, then go all the way back to save, then go back into it because you want to save your loadout and stuff and your research choices. It was really clumsy, and I often hit menu when I wanted to hit accept, which is my fault. But if you do that, then you have to go through every one of these menus again.
It's your fault really if I didn't do it too. You know what I'm saying?
You did that too?
Stumbling through this, like I'm in research, or here I'm not in research. There's that mods thing. When I'm in research, mods is in the same place. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not... it's just a little clumsy, and there's no flow to it. You have to go through other screens to get to things you want to do, where from the map I should be able to go to research. I shouldn't have to go into a mission to get to research, because they're not related.
Right. And the workflow is begin mission, go to the map, go to the briefing, go to research, go to equipment, go to menu, go to save, go to map, go to briefing, go to level.
Yes. And that's insane.
That's too many clicks. Too many clicks.
And we had Civ by this time, so the concept of different menus being in different places was a thing. So
yeah.
And
that's kind of nitpicky, but it's just like another time where they clearly didn't think through what the experience of playing this game is going to be like.
Just for the record, XCOM came out in 91 or 92, depending on what you're looking. Oh, that's the developer. Mythos Games started in 91. I see what's happening. Microprose, 1994, for the publisher. Yeah,
what are we talking
Wikipedia
about?
Thing. So, 1994. XCOM.
You're talking about XCOM?
I'm talking about XCOM, and like, I just wanted to see how close it was to this in terms of release date.
Mm-hmm.
Because the menu system in XCOM is good.
Mm-hmm.
I never lost where I was. I could go right to the things I wanted from the main spot. There was a lot, but I still could get to all of them without having to go into and into and into. There were a couple nitpicky things sometimes for like getting armor on that I didn't totally like.
Yeah.
But it was a really niche thing you didn't do often. This is stuff you do all the time.
This is the whole game. Yeah. And like any one of these enemy agents probably has a weapon with more range than your flamethrower.
Yes. So
you should not be able to be successful in this level at all with what you're doing.
Right. And I lost the guy,
you should
so
lose.
That's the thing that happened.
Yeah, but you did lose a guy.
But like, I should be able to get my sniper rifles on and tell them, sniper rifle. But because they're running from so far away, they're able to, like, as soon as they pop on the screen, I'm getting hit. It stuns me and knocks my guys around, and it stuns them for like a second. So they keep getting hit. Like, there's just no user experience. And like, I put the guns away so that I didn't have cops keep shooting me.
Right.
Because I was hurt and I wanted to heal up a little bit. But now I've got the guns out, so now the cop's going to shoot me. It's just...
Hey, you want to know what a little extra bit of kicking the balls this game does? I hate that when I use a med kit, it uses the whole med kit, regardless of how much health it replaces. If it replaces 1/10 of my health, whole med kit. If it replaces 90% of my health, whole med kit. Why?
Okay, I want to...
Why, Chris? Why would you do that?
Okay.
It's like it's an on-off. It's not a...
I want to kind of show something here with this guy. So, number 4 is going to fire his flamethrower at the guy who's shooting him in just a second. I want you to pay really close attention to where my cursor is and where the flamethrower shoots. Come on.
Yeah.
So once you've accepted this, you have accepted you are not playing an action game.
Right.
Because you are not in control of the action. This is a strategy game that moves too fast to have strategy, to have any useful strategies for. And so, yeah, see, like, I get knocked way back. I get shot out of range with his gun. And by the time I start moving again, he just shoots me again, and that's that.
And you have no recourse to switch weapons and change your tactics. You're just in it at that point. Yep. Bad game. Hated it. It's not a review, but fuck this thing.
It's not a review, but 0 out of 10.
Yep. I wish there were 0 stars.
I wish there was
I love it when people say that on reviews, like, oh man. 0 stars. That would really get them.
This game gave my dog cancer.
Oh.
What other stupid internet statements can we make?
Yeah.
And I promise someone's going to get to this point, be really all in love with Syndicate and go, yeah, well, this show gave me cancer. Like, I promise some asshole's going to say it. And they're going to have just fit send and then go, oh. All right. Anyway, short game, Pit Stop and Pit Stop 2, racing
Electric
games.
Boogaloo. Yep.
Very different from what we're doing. Yeah, we'll just go with that for right now.
You're getting a double because it's Pit Stop and there's like nothing. There's nothing to it. It's going to be a 2-minute long conversation.
Yeah, it's not going to be a long conversation. It's an 80s era indie racing game, and it's not a lot to talk about, but there's some interesting elements to it that I do want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it was popular at the time and considered good. So let's see if we shit on it as hard as this. I have a feeling
impossible.
No.
Impossible.
All right. This one actually concerns me.
The much requested Leisure Suit Larry, the Land of the Lounge Lizards. You wanted it. We're doing it.
It's happening.
Against our better judgment.
Against all my better judgment.
That cover is amazing, though. That pink.
Mm-hmm. There were some decisions made in this cover.
Yeah.
There were some decisions made.
I don't think I've ever seen the cover of this thing.
There's a couple covers of it, because it was also re-released later. I was just trying to see if I got my box on the shelf or if I put it away.
You have this in a box?
I have it in a box.
Wow, for someone who is so incredibly tentative about this game, I'm surprised that you own it in a box.
I like this game. I don't want to talk about it. I don't know. I'm going to say this at the beginning of the next episode, and when we talk about this, I don't know how we talk about a game that was deliberately trying to be sexually juvenile and inappropriate, when at the time what we would have considered normal then today is kind of considered inappropriate. Like, I am dreading playing this game again and having some of these things come back and have to go, oh God, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because there's no way to do this without talking about politics and everything else that goes with it. And I'll just give that warning at the front, and just people are going to have to eat it on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're all looking forward to watching you uncomfortably navigate those waters while I just kind of...
Well, you just charge ahead. Damn the torpedoes.
Yeah.
Look at the inappropriate thing I said. I'm just going to have a little button on here that says, send your complaints to Matt Herrick.
Yeah, come on. It's fine. And if you close your eyes, you can still see the box in your retinas.
Oh, I'm sure. It's burned in
the brightest thing ever.
I'm absolutely sure. In about a week, this Thursday, we'll do some more Nox streaming.
Join us, please.
That will be fun and less inappropriate.
Mm-hmm. Little. Yeah.
I might eat my old man again.
We're not lurid people.
No.
That's like, we say some obscenities and whatever, but we're not lurid.
No. I think we're generally in good taste. We're a little punk on things, but that's fine.
We're not smarmy.
No. And that's what concerns me, is that...
Right. We're nice people.
Yeah, we try to be anyway.
I have a dog.
You have a dog.
You have a dog.
I have a dog.
We have kids.
Yeah.
We're like productive members of society.
Yeah, and I haven't fed my kids to the dog, so that's something.
Right. Your dog would eat those kids, though, if
in
given
a
the
heartbeat.
opportunity.
In a heartbeat. So,
all right. Well, that's that, Mattress Man.
We'll leave everything on that note. My dog's going to eat my children. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Sorry about Syndicate.
Big thank you to all of you watching, sharing, liking, subscribing, suggesting games, commenting on our videos, or supporting us on Patreon. We appreciate all of your support and look forward to sharing many more videos with you. Thank you again.